What's up, Ragin Nation? How's it going? This is Alex here, and you're watching The Road to TF5. This is just a web series we're talking about Transformers 5. This is episode number 27. And in this episode, before I begin, I just want to say thank you to everybody who watched and commented on my previous video. In the previous episode of The Road to TF5, I spent a good 20 plus minutes addressing rumors. I was just talking about nothing but rumors because there's nothing out there. There's no solid information, and it almost sounded like I was ranting. And if I did, I apologize for that. I apologize for making you put up with that. But the fact is that we have nothing to work with. We've got nothing but rumors to work with, nothing but rumors and no solid information. And rumors just keep on spreading and keep on taking a life of its own to the point where it's annoying. I mean, it kind of annoys me. Kind of, somewhat, doesn't really bother me that much, but it bothers a lot of other people who really want solid information. So I just wanted to educate you guys and drop some knowledge on how to spot a fake report. All right, and that way you're not contributing to more rumors, because like I said, rumors take a life of its own, life of their own, and then it just spreads like nuts, and then at the end of the day, is just a big mess. So anyways, thank you to everybody who watched that video. I just want to follow up on that because we now have some solid information. Now, it's not really juicy information, but it is still something substantial in my opinion. The fact is that Akiva Goldsman has put together a writer's room with a lot of great writers. And they've spent, what, I think 2 months? I think they've been working on it for 2 months. And during this 2 months, they were putting ideas together. They weren't necessarily writing the entire story of their own movies, but they were just throwing ideas back and forth. And I was thinking that with that many writers, with 12 writers, they're going to come up with 12 movies, because 12 writers, 12 ideas, 12 stories, 12 films, all right? When you look at it at face value, right? But the fact is that Akiva Goldsman wanted to put together a blueprint for the future of the franchise, because when you really look at it, I mean, if you look at the way it's going, if they keep on doing the same thing over and over and over again, there's going to be a bit of a decline. We've already seen that decline with the sequels. I mean, Revenge of the Fallen, domestically, 400 million. Fantastic. Dark of the Moon, domestically, 350. And then Age of Extinction, 245. Okay, that's because they're following the same formula over and over and over again. And Paramount and Hasbro, they see this and they can't keep on going like this. They need to change things up. That's why the writer's room exists. They've been writing for 2 months, throwing ideas back and forth, and now the writing room process has wrapped up. Okay, they're done putting together this outline for this cinematic universe, and now it is time to get something happening. It's time to get something happening, and Deadline reports that not only has the writer's room wrapped up, but Transformers 5 will be scripted by Akiva Goldsman. Now, they, you know what? I'm just going to read the exact article just so that I'm not misquoted here. Akiva Goldsman has walked away with a concrete blueprint to write a Transformers sequel for Mark Wahlberg to star in, for Michael Bay to direct, with production starting in June. Okay, and Ant-Man scribes Andrew Barrer and Gabriel Ferrari will head off and write an animated feature, an origin story that focuses on Cybertron, the planet from which the good and bad Transformer robots hail. So I gathered 2 things from this. Akiva Goldsman is writing Transformers 5, and the Ant-Man writers are writing the Cybertron prequel, which is going to be an animated feature. All right? And so let's talk about it. Let's talk about this whole thing. Now, there's one more thing I do want to mention, and that is this interesting part that I read also in this article. It said, I had heard they discovered that some of the ideas didn't sustain full features and that maybe the universe wasn't as big as suspected. But insiders say, in fact, that when all the pitches and treatments were reviewed, that Spielberg felt there were potentially movies in 5 of the 9. So they got 12 writers. They came up with 9 potential ideas. And then they broke it down, or rather narrowed it down to 5. So 5 out of the 9 ideas are going to turn into films, potentially. Okay, Transformers 5, Transformers 6, Cybertron Prequel, and 2 other ones. I wonder what those other 4 ideas were. I'm really curious about them and why they didn't work. But for the time being, we have 5 films that will be upcoming. The first one being Transformers 5 for June, or for rather, late June of 2017. That's what they typically schedule their films at. And Akiva Goldsman is writing. Now, it doesn't say that Akiva Goldsman is writing. It says that he walked away with a concrete blueprint to write a Transformers sequel. It doesn't say Akiva Goldsman writing Transformers 5, okay? I am still waiting for those exact words before I get too excited about Akiva Goldsman writing. And if he is really writing, I'm super excited because Akiva Goldsman, I find that he writes very, very solid stories. He's Academy Award winning writer, and to have him on board is a blessing to the franchise. They need somebody like this. All right, they need a serious writer for this franchise, and I'm glad that he's on board. All right, so that's exciting. Now, it does mention here that it says a sequel for Mark Wahlberg to star in, for Michael Bay to direct. Now, once again, this is just like he said, she said sort of thing. It doesn't say Michael Bay confirmed to direct, and it doesn't come with an official press release from Paramount or Michael Bay himself, right? So I'm just going to leave that right there. But you know what? Right after this report from Deadline was posted, other articles took a hold of it, and they decided to talk about it themselves, just like right over here at comicbookmovie.com, which says Transformers 5 an animated Cybertron spin-off moving forward at Paramount, and also Collider.com, which is a website that I love to visit. It's actually my favorite news website to visit. And it says Transformers 5, Michael Bay returning to direct, Mark Wahlberg to star. That's a headline, okay? And I'm just thinking, where does it say in anywhere like Michael Bay was confirmed to direct? Deadline just says Michael Bay to direct. Doesn't say Michael Bay will direct. Okay, we knew Mark Wahlberg is going to star because he signed a contract to appear, so that's already a given. By default, he has to appear. Okay, but Michael Bay returning to direct. You know what? Check this out. Okay, it's not very smart to post things like this. It's not very smart to post headlines like this. It's not very smart to right away try to cash in on this type of news, mainly because you should wait a little bit, give it a few days. I typically don't report on things right away because somebody eventually responds to it. Okay, it's just like how Mark Ryan responded to those rumors that he was quoted saying those things. You know what? I waited the right time, and then Mark Ryan decided to chime in, right? And now Michael Bay decided to chime in himself, and he tweeted regarding directing Transformers 5. No, it's not official. I have not committed to any idea as of yet. Just met with Steven, and we are discussing. Okay? So, he's not directing Transformers 5 yet. Keyword being yet. He said yet. There's a 50-50 chance that he would direct. Now, I am leaning towards not directing, just because, like I said, Paramount, if they're really paying attention to the domestic box office numbers, it really tells you that the general movie-going audience, the general public, they see these things at face value. They see a Michael Bay-directed Transformers sequel, and then they look at the previous ones. They see everything at face value. They don't care who's writing it. All they see is the name Michael Bay, Transformers, live action, another film, more or less the same thing. That's what they gather, okay? But you know what? They don't really care about the new changes that are being made. They're always going to say, or rather the haters and the people who don't really enjoy these films will always say that Michael Bay's attached, I don't want to watch it. You know what? He's going to destroy it. So I think that, if they're smart, they're going to end up getting somebody else because they need to make some changes. These franchises need to evolve. They can't keep on doing the same thing over and over and over again, right? So they need to change up the vision. All right, and so after that, Collider immediately updates their article. So it says updated with Michael Bay's response. So that is why you shouldn't share and report these things right away. Just wait a little bit, let it marinate for a bit, and then see what happens. And if you wait to see what happens, you will see that somebody as an original source is going to say something about that. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is, of course, this animated prequel. All right, which is going to be written by Gabriel Ferrari and Andrew Barr, who wrote Ant-Man. Okay, now this is going to be an animated prequel about Cybertron, which I read that they were calling Transformers 1. Okay, and I think the key word about this is that it's going to be an animated feature. And this kind of thing is not new. We've seen this type of thing before. Star Wars did it with what did they call that movie? They call it Clone Wars. Yeah, it was terrible. Okay, and then of course, Spider-Man is going to have their animated feature-length film, and that is supposed to be official as part of their own universe that Sony is creating. But Paramount wants to do the same thing. They want to have an animated Cybertron prequel, and I actually like that idea. I've actually said a long time ago, like years and years ago, I'm talking about 2008, that if we're going to see a Cybertron film, like a full-on Cybertron film, it's going to be an animated feature. The main reason why I would say this is because, well, why would it be live action? There's no humans on Cybertron. There's no human environments. There's no streets. I mean, like, city roads like on Earth. There's none of that. So why does it even need to be live action? I think that what they're doing is the right direction, having it animated. All right, because first of all, if you want to make an animated Transformers film, which is part of the universe, first of all, a lot of the fans who are not, a lot of the I guess the audience who are not fans of animated films might not be interested in watching it. All right, they don't see it as part of the like canon. They don't see it as part of that universe. I mean, look at Star Wars Clone Wars. The Star Wars live action films make a ton of money, but this Clone Wars, nobody even cared for it. All right, and first of all, it was also quite bad. But you know what? A Transformers animated film costs less. It just does. Okay, sure, it costs a lot of money to animate a film, of course, because you have a lot of people like animators. You have a lot of animators and people who do the CG rendering. That takes a lot of time, and animating in itself is a very time-consuming process. But you don't have to pay actors. You don't have to pay stuntmen. You don't have to pay like set designers. All right, it's all digital. It's all done through the computer. You don't have to make practical effects like explosions and shoot on location where you have to pay the city. There's none of that involved. So it's going to be a much cheaper film. It's probably going to make a lot less money than the other ones, but it's a more feasible idea. It's something that is more cost effective. And the way I see it is that you have the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which took 5 films to build it up to Avengers. Transformers 1, the animated Cybertron prequel, are those 5 films. All right? So this film, the Cybertron sequel, is that film for us to get to know the characters. We get to see the character development. We get to see a little bit of depth to all the characters that we'll eventually see in the live-action universe. So I like the idea that they're doing this. I don't know how well or poorly it's going to be received, but the fact that it ties in as a larger story already tells me that it's going to be something of substance. All right, so I think that that's a great idea, and like I said, it's going to be animated, and it needs to be animated, considering that the Transformers are CG, Cybertron is CG. You put 2 and 2 together, the whole thing is CG. There's no need for live action, okay? There's no need for actors and real sets and stuff like that. It's all going to be done through motion capture in a green background. So, I mean, if at all. So there you have it. This will be written by the Ant-Man scribes, and Ant-Man was very, very funny. But it was also very, very cartoony. And I'm not saying that Cybertron is going to be funny, but it is animated. It is a cartoon, and you have these writers who understand that type of cartoon action. So I think that we're on the right track. So there you have it. And one last thing I want to mention, I mean, with these Ant-Man scribes, I mean, Ant-Man was full of humor. It doesn't mean that Cybertron is going to be full of humor. Humor in the Transformers live action universe came from the humans. There are no humans on Cybertron, so we don't have to worry about the corny human humor. All right, that type of comedy is not going to exist in this Cybertron prequel, as far as I can tell. You know, from judging from the direction that they're going in. So, yeah, that's what's going to happen. So, like I said before, Cybertron, Transformers 5, Transformers 6, 2 other films. That's what they got in the pipeline so far. And Akiva Goldsman appears to be writing Transformers 5, which is great. Michael Bay is unconfirmed to come back. I think it's a 50-50 chance. And then I think that we're going to get Transformers 5 in 2017. I'm thinking Transformers 1 is going to come out in 2018. Okay? And considering they pretty much have the blueprint for everything else, then the next film after that is going to be coming out the next year. So 2019. Okay? Transformers 6 maybe 2019. Right? And there you have it. Yeah, I think that's it. I think I've covered pretty much everything I want to say. You know what? Oh yeah, one more thing I want to mention is that we're going to be getting that official announcement soon. The fact is that they've wrapped up the writing room process, and this time around fall, I mean, we're getting to fall in a couple of weeks. This time is the time where they will be announcing some pretty big news. And by big news, I mean who's going to be directing this film. All right, whether it be Michael Bay or another guy. The reason why it needs to be this time is because if they want to make that June 2016 filming date, like I'm talking about shooting date, like whether it be May or June 2016 shooting date, they have to start pre-production. And pre-production has to start pretty soon. You get that script, you start pre-production, but you don't start pre-production without a director. They have to have a director because after all, it will be that director's vision, and he will be also calling shots during pre-production. It's not just principal photography. You need a director during pre-production. All right, so they will be announcing a director soon, and Michael Bay is discussing with Steven Spielberg, who's paying the bills, what is going to happen. Is he going to be on board or not? I think, you know what? I think at this point we should talk about in the comment section below. I mean, really, do you want Michael Bay back, or you want to see another director? I mean, we're getting to the point where this is the question right now. This is the only question currently at this moment that needs to be answered, and it will be answered soon. So why don't you let me know in the comment section below, do you want to see him back? We already know who's going to be writing it, or at least kinda. So it all comes down to the next question. Is Michael Bay coming back? Do you want him back? And if not, who else do you want to see directing this film? Who would be a potential choice? Okay, when I say potential choice, I mean throw in a realistic director. Don't say something like Guillermo del Toro, because like he's not going to direct the Transformers film. He's not. He has a deal with Legendary or Warner Brothers or Universal, but he does not have a deal with Paramount. He's never worked with Paramount, at least as far as I know. But Jon Favreau, I mean, he's worked with Paramount. J.J. Abrams obviously isn't going to work on it. He's way too busy with all his other productions. But there's a lot of directors out there who can be named. Anyways, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about that animated prequel? What are your thoughts about that? I mean, it's a little bit of a controversy to know that it's going to be animated. It's not going to be, it's not going to have that live action feel. But I think it's a step in the right direction just because it'll cut costs, and it's a bit of a gamble for the studios because they're making an animated Transformers film, and it's not going to be made cheaply. I mean, but it will be a lot cheaper than your $200 million blockbuster. So I mean, yeah. Anyways, that's all I gotta say in this video. We're gonna have more updates soon. Make sure you subscribe to this channel because we're gonna be following the process for the creation of these films as we proceed, and there's going to be a lot more updates. It's going to be really exciting. This is a very exciting time for the fans right now because we are going to see some positive changes to the Transformers live action universe. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like me on Facebook, the Ragin Nation. Also follow me on Twitter at Ragin Nation. My name's Alex. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace. Transformers as opposed to the human characters present. Okay? Keyword being dual directions. He mentioned dual directions. So what does that mean?